got slick words and hot topics, catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. We got slick words and hot topics, catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe.
We out of pocket.
Welcome to the Out of Pocket Show, the show where we speak about topics of today, tomorrow, and yesterday. I'm your host, Big Money Mo.
I'm Peanut.
I'm Fresh.
So today we have a special guest. He's an actor, he's a comedian, he's also a writer. Please welcome Mr. Alex Thomas Jr.
Wow, you had to throw Junior in there. That's crazy. Very rarely anyone ever says Junior, but you must have just looked at my bio or something.
That is your name. So, first of all, I want to let you know that Out of Pocket, if you are asked a question that you don't want to answer, and whoever's asking you that question, you be like, Mo, you out of pocket. Therefore, you're off the hook.
That's funny. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to get that. All right, so let's talk about you, Al. So you're from South Central.
Born and raised.
And we have two teams in LA, the Lakers and the Clippers.
Absolutely.
So how did you pick whoever team it is? You can tell us who that team is, and then how did you pick that team?
First of all, there's no such word as picked, okay? If you are born and raised in LA, like me, and you over 40 years old, ain't no such thing as picked. Are you serious? Picked? Like there was a draft or some shit? No. A real LA nigga is purple and gold. The Clippers will forever be the JV squad. I don't care what anybody says. You know, they've tried a billion times. They came close the last few years when they tried to throw teams together with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and all that kind of stuff. That was a nice little attempt. That was nice that they went and got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Maybe they thought that was going to work or something. But no, you see that. Lakers, world champions 2020. I'm not no bandwagon nigga. I'm born and raised in South Central. I got baby pictures in Magic Johnson jerseys, in like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jamal Wilkes, Byron Scott, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like I could really go there. I remember when the Clippers used to play at the sports arena, and nigga, there was leaks in the roof, and half the court was flooded. Like niggas what had to play a pro horse game. You remember horse? Yeah. On the basketball court, niggas played a pro horse game because it was only half a court. Okay, so it's Lakers all day, 365, 24/7, twice on Sundays. Okay.
So I guess it's safe to say that you're a Laker fan.
On my mama.
Oh my mama. So with that being said, can you pick your starting lineup out of all the NBA players, not just the Lakers, of course? Who's your main five?
You need to be specific with that question. Say that question one more time.
Who is your top five players
of all time?
Yeah.
Whatever.
If you have to start a team and you have to pick five people and one player coming off the bench, who would it be?
Okay. Not in any particular order, just I'm giving you my five.
Yeah, that's it.
And the sixth man.
Okay. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is my center. My power forward would be Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
My other forward would be LeBron James. Okay. My other guard would be not my other guard. My shooting guard would be Kobe, and my other guard would be Michael Jordan, and then my sixth man. Mo might not want to hear this, but it would have to be Gary Payton. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that nigga was one of the greatest defensive players of all time. And with Kobe sitting down, GP would come in and be the floor general and know how to work it. He's a Hall of Famer also. I'm just being honest. That particular team, you could not lose.
So y'all go 82-0? Because that's the next question. You go 82-0?
Be honest, I think we would go 82-0. I'm not gonna lie, nigga. That is a perfect squad.
Hey, Alex, let me ask you, what was one of the funniest sets you worked on, and who was you working with?
Real hard, man. As far as sets goes, you got to think about it. I was a writer on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for 4 years. So being around Will Smith and that whole cast every single day of my life from 93 to 97, that was constant laughs from the minute I got out of my truck in the morning at 9 o'clock in the morning till showtime at 9 o'clock at night. It was just constant laughter. But then being around Jamie Foxx for years, being on the Jamie Foxx show for years, that was constant laughter also. So it was learning experiences, and it was just laughter, man. It's like a lot of times the biggest compliment I get is people will see old reruns from the Jamie Foxx show and be like, did y'all even read a script? I mean, was that freestyle? It just, people think it looked like we were having so much fun, and we really were. Obviously there was a script, but when you get a bunch of comedians together, it's like we just kind of go for it. You got to kind of stick to the script, but when you're with other comics bouncing off each other, it's a whole lot of takes. It was some tough calls for the directors because they're like, nigga, which one are we gonna go with? Every take was hysterical.
Right.
So what got you or led you into being a comedian? Or like what made you say this is the life for me?
Well, in my case, man, it was almost like in high school, I was best sense of humor, class clown, but it's not like I was trying to do that. It's not like September, I was like, nigga, vote for me in June. I will be the funniest. I am the class clown. Here's my sticker, put it on your notebook. Like, no, I was just always, I was the silly nigga in the hood. There's a saying, Richard Pryor did a joke years ago, talking about when he went to jail. He's like, I had them niggas laughing to keep their minds off the booty, right? I was that dude in the hood. When I tell you I was really born and raised in this shit, like half my family's Crips, half my family's Bloods, I just happened to not get into it because my parents are like, you're not going to get shot and killed by the time you're 13. You're not going to be selling drugs like your cousin. You ain't going to go be buying guns like your cousin did when he was 16 and 17. I was just the silly dude that made everybody laugh. So that's kind of like how everybody liked me. You know what I mean? Not that I was trying to be. I wasn't 12-year-old saying I want to be a comedian. It just kind of happened that way, man. I never knew that eventually one day I would make millions of dollars being funny and being able to see the world and all that. I had no clue. It's like a lot of times you get guys that say, man, they were just doing what they love to do, and then it ended up being a career.
Right.
College didn't work out for me, bro. I went to college for 20 minutes. That shit did not work out for me. You know? I wouldn't say that to kids to tell them not to go to college. It just didn't work out for me. You know what I mean? I wanted to. It was the goal, but I ended up being in the entertainment business, and man, one thing led to another. Huh?
I said it worked out for you.
Yeah, man.
Alex, can you remember your very first joke on a stand-up, not at the house, but on your very first joke on stage?
I am not even gonna lie to you. I don't remember. I have people.
No?
Let me tell you something, Mo. I have stars coming. I'll never forget. I don't know if it was LeBron James or Dwayne Wade. One of the niggas came up to me one time. He was like, "Nigga, do you still do the joke about?" And I'm like, "How do you remember that joke?" Like, nigga, I was in 8th grade watching Comic View or Def Comedy Jam in '94, nigga. And I'm like, dude, I have to watch my own tapes to remember jokes that I did back then. Like, I talk that much shit that I would have to literally watch. I couldn't tell you what my first joke was, because when I first started, I was one of those young comics in the early 90s that it was kind of more my personality than my actual jokes. So that was just an extra tool I had on stage, where a lot of guys were just literally joke 1, joke 2, joke 3. Good night. Like, no, man, I was always very physical with my jokes. It might have been something I did, like acted something out on stage, and niggas fell out laughing. So it wasn't even really what I said. It was me acting out something that I saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always been a physical comic. If you look at any of my comedy specials or comedy shows, a lot of times I wasn't like this, like the Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac type style comic. It was just, I have a crazy ass observation of what I think is funny. And I just take real stories and I take real shit that happened to me in my life and it comes out on stage.
Right.
You know?
Let me ask you,
If that made any kind of sense.
who did you work with that, or who did you work with that you was like, I can't believe I'm working with this person? Is anybody like you was surprised you was actually working with, like looked up to?
Well, it's a lot of those. A lot of those over the years. I mean, one of them was one of my tragedy stories in comedy. Somebody I worked with that you would have never known because you never saw me, because nigga, I got cut out the movie. But I worked with that motherfucker.
Right.
I got the pictures to prove it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You probably saw this movie. It was one of the biggest movies of all time. And a nigga got cut out of it.
What movie was that?
What movie?
No, you probably didn't even notice. I was in the movie Castaway.
No shit.
I just watched Castaway.
Who was in Castaway? Who was the star of Castaway?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
And you would have said Alex Thomas if I was in that bitch.
Oh,
What?
wow.
Man, let me tell you something. It's kind of a long story short, but for me doing a bunch of black movies and I was in all the hood classic, I was like, man, this is the movie that's about to change my fucking life. I am no longer just going to be doing the nigga movies. Don't get wrong, I made millions of dollars doing that, and it was fun, and I loved the black people knew who I was.
Right.
But if I had been in that movie, your dentist, your lawyer, and your claims adjuster would have known who Alex Thomas was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Long story short, man, maybe a week or two before the movie came out, I got a call. I'm talking, a nigga got a suit made for the premiere. That's that's how serious I was. Okay. They called me like a week or two, I can't really remember, and told me that my scene got cut out the movie. And it was one of those I was the fleet manager at FedEx before he got on the plane.
Okay.
And the scene was with me, Helen Hunt, and Tom Hanks. And it was one of those kind of things, if I have to put it in hip hop terms, it's like a guy, you always hear rappers being like, nigga, I did 30 songs, but only, 12 could fit on the album.
Right.
So it was the hard decision of what song I'm not going to put on that. Man, it was like, the scene was like, I think maybe 5 minutes. And that was the 5 minutes would have put it over too long for the movie. So they had to edit it out. And Robert Zemeckis, who directed the film, and he was like, man, it was heart-wrenching that we had to do that, and your scene was so great, but it was something we had to do. When I tell you, nigga, I was ready to go play in traffic. When I tell you, I was ready to find the closest bridge to jump off of. Like, I went so far that I was gonna take the little picture I took with Helen Hunt and Tom Hanks. I was gonna blow that bitch up and make it a billboard on Sunset, nigga, like in Hollywood. I think it was my goddamn movie.
Wow.
Now here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. Not only, huh?
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you, did you have a speaking part on that little 5 minutes?
Oh,
You talking about my scene?
Yes.
Of course. But that's what would have changed my life. But here's the cold part about it. So I'm crushed. They told me that they still had 2 passes for me to come to the premiere. I'm like, why the fuck would I come to a premiere that I'm not going to be in?
Right.
So the answer was hell no. I was upset. I was mad. I was depressed. I say all this because you asked me I think your question was, what was your question? Who was the biggest, or a person I'd want to work with. What was
that
it?
you worked with that you couldn't believe that you was actually working with that person.
Okay, yeah. So that was Tom Hanks and Helen. Here's the crazy part. I'm gonna cut to 6, 7 years later. Now I'm married. I live with my wife. She sees residual checks that come to the house from different movies and TV shows I've done over the years, right? This huge ass check comes to my house. She knows the movies and TV shows I've been in over the years, but she saw this, she was like, Castaway? You wasn't in that motherfucking movie. I seen that movie. What were you in? I was like, what do you mean, Castaway? I was cut out of that movie. What are you talking about? I grabbed the check. I'm not gonna tell you how much it was. It was one of the biggest residual checks I've ever got in my life.
Wow.
I could not believe, because when they cut me, I thought it was the end of the world. I was ready to go jump off a bridge.
Right.
The last thing I was thinking was that they were still gonna pay me for this movie.
Right.
I knew I got paid for the days of work that I did when I filmed that motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I did not know that I was going to get residuals for the rest of my life. So long story short, I still get paid for one of the biggest movies of all time. But nigga, I ain't got no video to prove it.
Wow.
Hey, you got the check.
You got that check to prove it, though.
Don't get me wrong, the checks are beautiful, but like, nigga, that could have... You understand, if I had been in that movie, I could have easily been in the next Star Wars.
Right.
Nigga, that would have been me in Fast and Furious instead of Tyrese. Nigga, you get what I'm saying? Like that's how this game works. Like when Dave Chappelle did You Got Mail with Tom Hanks, that changed his life and his career. Nothing against all the black movies and all TV shows that I've been in that made me famous, and that's good and that's great, and I appreciate it and I love my people. But it's just a different level when you can be in a movie next to a huge white actor. Right. Because now they look at you differently, and now your money's different, everything. Right. Nigga, two lines in a Star Wars movie is bigger than you being a star in a nigga movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's just the game. I was about to say, how did the fuck did that come up? But you asked me a question that's what pertained to it.
All right, so I got a question for you. So with the TV shows that you've been in, the comedic shows, things like that, we want you to rank them in order. I'll give you a list of shows and which one was the funniest to the, I don't want to use the word least funny because they're all funny shows, but just this was the funniest for you and this is probably the least funniest out of all those watching, or if you were in, whatever the case may be. So the first group goes like this. If you had to rank these in order from Martin, Fresh Prince, Jamie Foxx, and the Wayans brothers, how would you rank them in order from the funniest to the least funniest?
Jesus, you're right. They were all funny, and I learned a lot on all of them. And all of those guys are my friends, and all of those guys had different, athletes would probably tell you the same thing, right? Your peers and the people that you're around, they kind of rub off on you in different ways. You learn and you pick bits and pieces up from different people. You know what I mean? From being around Martin for years, hey man, that rubbed off on me. It was different than being around Jamie for years. What Jamie rubbed off on me wasn't what Will Smith rubbed off on me. What the Wayans family rubbed off on me was different. Being around Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damon Wayans for all those years, they taught us more the business side. A lot of people don't know, don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Hood Classic, my first movie, but was also one of the first movies I wrote on. So Keenan taught me how to write comedy and kind of know the business behind it. You get what I'm saying? The Wayans family, they just kind of adopted me as the honorary Wayans. Like, those niggas worked their ass off and created their own niche in Hollywood, and I will always respect them for that. They didn't sit around and wait for white Hollywood. All their super huge projects, they wrote, they produced, and they made it happen. They didn't wait for nobody. So that's something I learned from being around the Wayans brothers and the Wayans family for years. You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
Will Smith didn't have to do what he did for me, man. People ask me, what's Will Smith like, man? He's the most humble, rich ass nigga I know. That helped me out and didn't have to. I mean, you got to think about it, man. I was a broke stand-up comic. I had $11 in my pocket. I caught the bus to the Laugh Factory one night. I had only been doing comedy 6 months, and he just happened to be sitting in the front row of the Laugh Factory one night. I had only been doing comedy 6 months. I got off stage. He was like, yo, man, you are funny as hell. My name is. I was like, nigga, I know who you are. Shit. You Will Smith. He goes, yeah, man, I got this brand new TV show. I'm like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I watch it every week. It had only been on 2 years at that time. He goes, man, you're hilarious, man. He goes, do you write? I'm like, nigga, you got a pen? He was like, well, do you think you can come down and help us with some funny stuff like what I saw on stage tonight? I was like, hold on, let me check my schedule. Yes, nigga, I'm available. Right? He said, so when do you think you can come down? I'm like, nigga, now? Can I get a ride with you? I caught the bus up to this bitch. The rest was history, man. I was literally there the next day, and for 4 years, 88 episodes. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that, and that opened up all doors for me. Man, he threw me in a writer's room with these white boys that wrote Happy Days and Home Improvement and Seinfeld and some of the biggest shows of all time. You know what I mean? I never wrote nothing but the little jokes that I had. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow.
That's just the epitome of being in the right place at the right time. So it's really hard to say what was first, what was second. You just named 5 things that I didn't realize early in the game that this was going to mold me for the rest of my life in this business. You know what I mean? You want to be around people doing as much, if not more, in your field. You got to be around that. If you can't hang around a bunch of suckers and think that you're gonna come out of that, because you know what I mean. You got to be around people that are pushing the envelope, that are trying to do what you do, and that's how you get better. That's how you learn. You know what I mean? When I see people that hang around a bunch of losers and nobody's doing shit, it's gonna be real hard for you to pull up out that crowd. You know what I mean?
Sure.
100%. Okay, so since you won't rank those because you have something to do with those, the next 4, I don't know how much you have to do with those other than watching. So if you had to go between The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, Good Times, and What's Happening, how could you rank them?
Did you say or rate them?
Rank them.
Oh, well, you say them again?
The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, Good Times, and What's Happening.
Okay. Well, that one's kind of easy. I mean, it was all the black experience. Anybody that's 40 and older grew up on those. We all were able to relate. You know what I mean? It wasn't, this was better than that one. No, we took from all of them. What's Happening was amazing for the time and what it was. It was simple. It was black life that we all could relate to. You know what I mean? If it was an order, I think that was 5. I think you said, what's happening? And then you said, what else?
Good Times.
Good Times, I would say, was number 4. Number 3, I think you said
Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son, which, again, brilliant, simple ass, topic, what they built around. I mean, Red Fox was a comedy genius. You know what I mean? It was hilarious. It's really hard for me to say orders. You just named some of my favorite shows of all time. So so the wording for me isn't Sanford and Son was way better than Good Times. You know what? Nah, What's Happening was better than all them. Nah, you got to get, no, they were all, it's like if all 4 of those came on in one night on the same network, I would have watched every single one of them.
Right.
But if all 4 came on a different network at the same time, and you had to watch one.
See, now that's a whole different question. Now that's a better question, and I can answer that. It took us a whole lot of talk to get to the question that you were trying to ask. Say that question one more time. If all 4 of them came, I'm gonna help you out. If all 4 of them came on at the same time, and you had to make a decision which one you're gonna watch, now I can give you that answer.
Okay. And the answer is?
Good Times.
Okay. So what about the category before? If they all came on at the same time,
say it again.
You had to watch it. And what about the category before? If Martin, Jamie Foxx, the Wayans brothers, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air all came on the same time, and you had to watch one.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Is that a bias?
Not at all. Not just because I was just on it and I wrote it. It was several characters. If you notice, I named you two things that had several characters. I was really into characters. That's why some of the greatest shows of all time worked, because there was so many different characters. If you look at Good Times, you look at all those characters on that show, whether it was Florence or Mr. Jefferson, or whether it was, I mean, you look at Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there was Will, there was Carlton, there was Hillary, there was, you know what I mean? There's Jeffrey, there was so many different characters. You look at Seinfeld, shows of people, I loved Seinfeld. You know what I mean? There was George, there was Jerry, there was so many different characters that would made you love a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas like Sanford and Son, it kind of was, don't get me wrong, it was some very funny characters on there, but it was like the whole focus was Red Fox. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
It was just all about him. LaWanda Page was absolutely hysterical also. There was other very funny characters, but it was just all about that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like stories where, at any given moment on any of the show, the show could have been about that character that particular night. The storyline could have been around that particular character. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Al, I didn't know you were a writer. I don't know why I didn't know you were a writer.
You know what's so funny? I have jokes about niggas like you, Mo. And let me tell you what that is. So, I have a joke I did for years. And the whole premise of the joke is how niggas don't read credits. That was the premise of the joke. Niggas don't read credits. I'm going to give you a great example, right? Somebody I've been knowing all these goddamn years, no idea that I was a writer, right? So now I'm about to give you the extreme example. I've had situations where white people read credits. So a lot of times white people know me because I'm famous in another way that a lot of niggas don't know. I've been on two of the biggest cartoons of all time for 10, 15 years. Family Guy, King of the Hill. Okay, so what happened is I'll be somewhere and I'll be standing with a nigga I've known for 20 years. He knows all my nigga movies. A white person will come up to me, excuse me, I just have to say this real quick. Can I just tell you, I fucking love you on the Family Guy. Oh my God, the Black Dolphins. My husband and I died at that. I just want to tell you that. Continue on with the talk. The nigga standing next to me has known me 20 years. Right. Nigga, I didn't know you was on Family Guy. Right. You mean the voices, the cartoon shit? Nigga, what you do on that? I'm like, that's a goddamn shame. Because it was cartoons and you didn't see my face, right? Your ass didn't read the credits. But the white guy that just randomly walked up to us knew my voice and was like, dude, I love Family Guy. Now, I'm looking at all y'all faces. Y'all the same. Nigga, what you do on the Family Guy? I didn't know you was on that shit.
Wait.
Anytime there was angry niggas, black people, kids, animals, I was called recurring. Recurring means they did like 300 episodes over the years. One of the biggest TV cartoons of all time. I was only on like 70 or 80 episodes. I wasn't on it every week. But whenever they needed a nigga, whenever they had black people, or like characters that people like the Black Dolphins and other characters that I played, it was just an extra check, bro. A lot of people don't know. There's people walking around LA, filthy rich. You would never know who they are. Driving a F-150, some Wrangler jeans and a t-shirt, and got 20 million in the bank off of cartoons. So I just always realized, as a young cat coming up in this business, it's just too many ways to get money in this business. And I wasn't gonna go back to having a regular job. So I said, I'm gonna get it in any kind of way I can, which was writing, acting, stand-up, animation, cartoons. I have the #1 animated series on Netflix right now as we speak. We are the only black animated series on Netflix right now as we speak, and #1 animated series in America with black children 1 to 10. It's called Motown Magic. It's the whole history of Motown. Smokey Robinson's executive producer. If you go on Netflix tonight, if you Google it right now, you'll see Motown Magic, and you're gonna see a red Cadillac, a 1965 Cadillac, and that's me. My name is Jimmy Mack, and I'm in every episode. So if you got nieces, nephews, if you got kids between 1 and 10, that's me.
Nice.
That's good to know. Well, congratulations to that. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Now, from what I've heard and read, that you are Ingle Woods on the golf course.
Come on, man. I'm the ghetto Tiger Woods. They call me Ingle Woods.
Have you ever played with Tiger Woods, and what's one of your favorite courses to play on?
Did you say have I ever played with Tiger?
Yes.
Never. I can't even lie. That would definitely be on the bucket list. I've met him a couple of times, but I've never played with him. But when I tell you, I'm a Tiger Woods groupie, okay? I tell you, that's the greatest nigga to ever touch a club, and I followed him his entire career. The question I always get, man, when'd you start playing golf? I'm like, the year every nigga in America started playing golf. In 97, when he won the Masters, that was our last year of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and we were on set one day, and between takes, this nigga Will got a sand wedge in his hand. I'm like, the fuck you doing with a golf club? Niggas don't play golf. Next thing I know, I'm at this nigga's house in his little par 3. I'm like, so this is a sand wedge? Okay, how you hit this bitch? What do you do with this? You know, addicted to the point where, put it this way, man, let's say the last 5, 10, 15 years of my life, I've done at least 35, 40 cities a year doing stand-up. My clubs come everywhere I come. Nigga, my clubs are on my back like my drawers and my cologne, nigga. Like, everywhere I go, the clubs come with me. I tell everybody I ain't got shit to do to Showtime.
Right.
Up in Mississippi, Alabama, Oakland, Tallahassee, Florida, or goddamn Alaska. If it's some sun and there's a course, I'm on it.
Nice. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Something else people don't know.
What'd you say?
I said that's something else people don't know. They don't know about your writer's credits. They don't know that you play golf.
I'm a very interesting ass nigga. You don't understand.
I'm learning.
I'm the most interesting nigga in the world. I've been called that.
Hey, Al.
Yeah.
In LA, you came to the house?
Of course. Talk about when I shot my comedy special?
Yeah. That was funny.
That was funny. I don't know what year that was, Mo, but that was one of my 1 hour comedy specials when BET was doing 1 hour comedy specials. I think it was, I called it Tata Lalicious that year, 2000 and I don't know, 2 or 3.
When we were at the Lakers. So what year was that? 2005, 4, 2?
2, maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe somewhere around there. And I wrote a very funny sketch because that was at the time when the big thing on MTV was not Pimp My Ride, but what's the name of the show when they would go to rich people's houses?
MTV Cribs.
MTV Cribs, and then BET came out with their version of Where I Live. Wait. BET's was called Cribs. MTV Cribs.
Yeah.
And then BET had one called Where I Live, like their version of MTV Cribs. So I did a sketch called Where I Stay At. And we did it at Gary and Mo's house, but I lied and act like it was my house.
Right.
And then I shot a scene at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles and edited like I had a Roscoe's in my house.
Right.
Oh, good.
Remember.
And then I went outside like, all right, you know, at the end of every episode, they'd be like, now let me take you outside to where all my rides, all my cars. Right. Nigga, I went out and acted like their cars were my cars, and Gary came out like, nigga, this ain't your motherfucking house. What the fuck you doing in my house? Anyway, it was some funny shit, man.
We're going to end the show with Al with 21 questions.
21 questions, and it's all about us.
So you have 7 seconds to answer, and once you miss if you don't get the answer, you don't go on. You stop right there. So most people fail after 4. They don't get past.
You said most people what?
Fail.
After 4 questions?
Yeah.
Wow, there's some hard ass questions.
Not at all.
So you're asking me 21 questions, and when you ask me the question, I'm supposed to answer immediately?
Well, you have 7 seconds to answer.
Oh, I have 7 questions. I have 7 seconds to answer each question.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And nobody's went past 4.
No.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, number 1. What is 10 plus 1?
11.
Number 2, Ricky, Bobby, Ralph, Mike, Ronnie, and Johnny formed what R&B group?
New Edition?
Okay. Number 3, Michael Jordan played for how many NBA teams?
2. The Bulls and the Wizards?
Okay. Number 4, this is a tricky one. What is Rudy Huxtable's real name?
Damn, and I did a TV show with her.
I just knew you was gonna pass this one.
No, I know because she was on the show with me. Her Rudy Huxtable's real name is Kamaya. Okay. Well, goddamn, that'd be like saying what was Kunta Kinte's middle name? I mean, goddamn, you came up with some shit. I mean, yeah, obviously, your 4th question is some bullshit.
Well, the answer to it.
Donald Trump is missing a toe. Which one? Like, nigga, I've never seen the nigga's feet before.
But you have seen her name before. If you
No, you're right. Back to what I said, reading credits. And I was on a TV show with her 2.5 years ago. We were on the same TV. Huh?
Did you call her Rudy?
Nigga, I almost did. I'm so mad at myself because that one I know when I should know, but come Harris, I don't know. Yeah.
The answer is Keisha Pullman Knight.
Keisha Pullman Knight. So is that just?
Even Keisha Knight would have been
So that's just always your 4th question for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's some bullshit. That is some bullshit.
But
You're like, and the 4th question is, what was Martin Luther King's favorite fruit?
Watermelon.
Jackfruit, watermelon, or lemons? Like, nigga, who the fuck knew that?
Al, I want to say congratulations on your new baby.
Thank you. They are all over the place.
I cannot believe you have a wife and 3 kids.
I can't either. I never thought that was going to happen.
Halo, she is so freaking beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And
they're growing up so fast, Mo. I know you know how it is because you're a mama and you know how it is. I mean, they grow up so fast. Like my daughter's 5 now. My son, Legend, is 2. So Halo's 5. Legend is 2, and Trust is 3 months old now. And people are like, nigga, when you gonna have number 4? I'm like, nigga, I'm getting my left ball removed next week, okay? I already have my ball appointment, and nigga, my new name is about to be Uno after next week. I'm done.
Well, yeah, we want to thank you so much. I love you so much for coming on and spending time with us. Anytime I'm calling you, we need you to come back on the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me. Make sure y'all check out my podcast. Comes on every single Tuesday. It's called The Funny Don't Stop Show. On Instagram, The Funny Don't Stop Show. And we're on all platforms, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Dash Radio, YouTube Live every week. And yeah, we get it in, man. This is what I do, man. This is therapeutic for me, especially during these crazy times.
Thanks for tuning in to the Outta Pocket Show. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube at Outta Pocket Show. Until next time, peace.